Hello,
Hello, Easy.
hello.
How are you?
Okay, I guess this
Okay.
is the last week of the summer holiday before
I
school starts.
I know. Uh, how are you doing with all that? Are you done with you're done with all your homework, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
except for a few little parts.
hmm Anything are you gonna do anything this last weekend before school?
Mm, Mostly just enjoying the precious time of freedom left
And how are you doing that?
by playing games
Oh, okay.
um, and reading books.
Okay, that's good. Will you see any of your friends?
No,
No, not until you go back to school. Okay. And do you have your classes already for next year, or do you get those handed to you like on Monday or something?
we just got the class curriculum today.
Oh, okay. So you know what your classes are then.
Yes,
Okay.
the schedule at least.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And do you have your books for it already too, or do you get
No.
those? You get those
We
handed
get
out.
those on the August the 30th, when we go back to hand in our homework and get the
Oh,
new textbooks at the
okay.
same time.
All right. Good. Give you a
After
chance.
that, we will get another day of rest and on September the 1st, school officially starts.
Oh, okay. So you don't really start on Tuesday.
Yes,
That's correct.
yes.
Yes.
It's Wednesday for me.
Yeah. Okay. Um, all right, good. Are you excited?
Um, I'm excited to see my classmates and see what the new subjects has to offer.
Okay. Okay. So you are
Yes, kind of.
kind of okay. I'm trying to think. Anything else going on? How's everything in your town, in your city?
On Thursday, I went back to school to help with the removal. Well, we moved from one classroom to another for the first time
Oh.
since we're going to ninth grade. In the sixth, seventh, and eighth grades,
Uh-huh.
we we used the same classroom, but on in the ninth grade we moved to a different classroom on the fourth floor. The previous one was on the third floor.
Oh. Okay. So you just moved everything from that classroom to another classroom.
Including the library books, the stuff that teachers use, and plants that we have in our classroom. Some
Okay.
clocks, some pictures that we put up on the wall.
hmm what was the reason of moving to another floor?
I don't know.
Oh.
To make, I think just have that way, and that space is for the ninth graders, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And
And
our previous classrooms are now for the sixth graders,
oh,
the new
okay.
sixth graders.
Okay. The little young ones. All right.
Just
Um,
like how we started.
okay. Now on that, how big is that building where you are? I mean, how many floors do you have?
Um, it's kind of complicated. Well, mostly we have four floors,
Okay.
but in some parts of the building, there's one jutting up, and it's like got five or six floors.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The structure of the building is complex, so
hmm
mm,
But like for the most part, where all the students are, I mean, where you? where you go to school, where you study. Those are on 4
4
floors.
floors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, your last year. um, yeah, that's going to be exciting for you. Any other developments? Anything else going on? You watch. I know you watch the news. I know you keep up with COVID.
Today, there was a terrorist bombing in Kabul's airport.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the interesting is, a few days ago, I was listening to a podcast, and they say the Taliban may be afraid, and the U.S. and the Taliban may be afraid of, like, the terrorist organizations like ISIS-K organizing suicide bombings in the airport, trying to disrupt the evacuation.
Yeah, that's what that last bombing was. I was led to believe that that I'm not sure if that was the one that killed the. I think there was. I'm not sure if it was 4 or 10. I think it was 4 U.S. Marines yesterday or the day before, and some some other people from Afghanistan too. So, and then someone said it was a suicide bomb. So they're doing that. They're trying to do all this before the 31st.
Which is the deadline.
Yeah, and so they're trying to eliminate or prevent people from leaving, getting to the airport. So they're doing whatever extreme measures they need to do to stop that, even if it means killing their own. So that's not good. So I'm wondering, I mean, there's what, 5 more days left, and I don't think Biden's extending, and I just think there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more deaths. I don't know. That's kind of what I think. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you? I mean, what's your? Let me ask you this question, Z, because since you read it, and you're, informed. What do you think of the politics there and the reasons behind all this? Of
The Taliban doesn't like the U.S. very much, so it doesn't like the American support government and the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. So they ousted that government, and now they have the full control over the whole country. They might be a little extreme in because they are the Islamic group, and they're basically like Iran, which is sort of like a dictatorship, and basically there's not freedoms for women, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Because in the Islamic thinkings that a man is superior to women.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Maybe the people living there will have a harder time than living under the Islamic Republic, but we'll have to see about that.
Okay. So, from what I understand, and I mean, yeah, I agree that the Taliban is it's, I think they're very dangerous, and they're very it's not a good group. From what I understand, the Al Qaeda, the ones that were responsible for 9/11, they were kind of housed under the Taliban.
Yep.
So, if you look at it at that extreme, that's really bad. I mean, they killed thousands of people, and I don't know. I just don't think I just don't see how they're supported, and I feel sorry for the not just the women, but the children and stuff too. I mean, did you hear about that little boy? I want to say little. He's 17. He's close to your age, and he was. I don't know if you read the story yesterday in Afghanistan. There, he was like a really good soccer player. Fantastic.
I
Did
thought
you
I
read
told you
about
this.
that?
I
What's
told
that?
this. I told you this. I think last class was before that. If he cling to the landing gear of the airplane, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was, yeah, I thought that was just recently, like 3 days ago. I don't know. I just read it in the Wall Street Journal yesterday. But yeah, he I don't know if it was or he already got inside, but yeah, there was like this. There was one kid, but there were several people that died that way, and that is just uh, he has that last conversation with his brother, telling him that he's got to leave because he'll never ever play soccer again, in Afghanistan. So he was taking his chances, and I don't know. I thought he was like inside the plane, and then he fell, but he could have been on the outside, yeah. But I saw videos, and of all these people. It's just so sad that they're fighting. Basically, they're just fighting for their lives. They just want something better, anything but dying. Whatever that entails. And even if it means living, still a life of poverty in another country or somewhere else, but you're not dead. And it's just I don't know. It's really sad, and you know, and I don't blame them, any of them,
Yeah, me
for
too.
wanting to leave. I mean, it's just I mean, time and time again in the past week that I've read, and all different different websites, with CNN and uh, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, things like that. They promise, oh, Taliban promises, oh, nothing's going to happen, but then you hear the contradiction in another site that says, if we find anyone that's here that had been working with the Americans over the last 20 years, not just recently, but over the past 20 years, they will be dealt with. Well, we already know what that means. They're going to be killed. So, it's just, so if everyone, is afraid for their lives, it's gonna, it's really sad to see that. And I guess, we just can't, I'm saying the United States, we can't intervene anymore. And I think, I hear both. I hear another side too, where we've been over there for 20 years, and now that we're leaving, now that we're pulling out of there, we're getting ridiculed for that from other countries. Why are you leaving? You should be there helping them. And then on the other, and then when we stay there, it's, why are you there? Get out of there. Let them handle it themselves. So I hear both sides. So it's like, which, and no other, other countries aren't going over there to help, but the U.S. is expected to do that. And then when we do it, we're criticized for being there. And then when we leave, now we're criticized for leaving. So it's like, okay, which one are we supposed to do? I don't know. Anyway, so that's my take on it. I just feel really sorry, and I think we have some Afghanistan people coming here. I think as of yesterday, the U.S. brought in total since it started 85,000 and of people, and like 30,000 Airbnb homes or apartments or places, to stay, are being donated or allotted for these Afghanistan refugees. So I mean, that's good, and I don't know what's happening with the rest, but at least I know
Where?
in the
So
U.S.
where are the apartments?
I mean, I think everywhere. I don't think they're just like in one location. I mean, I think they're probably scattered. This is my take, is I think people own the Airbnbs, right? Those are privately owned, and you rent them out like you would like a rental or a hotel, but it's a house or an apartment or something like that. And the people pay you. Well, obviously these people are not going to have any money, so they won't be paying. So the U.S. government will pay for it, and that's what's going to happen with all the refugees. I mean, the U.S. government will provide the assistance of food, clothing, shelter for these people. And I think that's a great thing. I think it's great that our country can do that. And I'd rather have it go to something like that than other types of social programs. Helping somebody in need that has no control of themselves, on their own. They're just trying to escape, this um, oppression from another government, another country. I think that's great, and that we're able to do that. But I don't know about the rest of them, or where they would be, housed. You say 30,000. I don't know how many families are going to be placed in those places, in those apartments or houses or something, and for how long, I don't know. But my guess is, I think they're hardworking people, and I think, you give them a chance, and I think within a matter of months they're going to be self-sustaining. They're going to be, self-sufficient, and being able to start taking care of themselves. Maybe the kids are going to be able to go to school, and jobs will be, there'll be jobs. I'm not sure, like given to them, like you're going to do this, but I think they'll find their way. So I think that's a good thing, and it's too bad that we can't, help them all. But I mean, it's a large country, and I think there's going to be a lot of people left behind. I have no doubt that the Americans will get back, because that's what we do. But there's not really that many left. There might be 1,500, I think, U.S. citizens that are still there, not just military, but other people that work in other areas. I think all of them will come back, will get back. But I think there's going to be a lot of Afghanistanians that are going to be left behind that wanted to leave, and that's what's really troubling. So,
Um,
so anyway,
I know. I know some of them are in Qatar because that's where the
yeah,
planes from Afghanistan are heading to.
yeah,
But in Qatar, there's so many people now. There's no room for them.
I
So,
know.
and I'm confused why they don't put all the Afghans in one place, because they'll maybe they'll live more peacefully that way. I believe they have a better life living together since they're all Afghans.
Yeah, that could be, but I think a lot of them, I mean, I guess the main thing is just going to safety somewhere, and uh, the U.S. usually provides that. I mean, I think anybody, not anybody, but I think most people would feel safe coming into the U.S. for the most part. They know, I mean, it's like anywhere, crime can happen, but we, for the most part, we have a stable government, and the U.S. is recognized as the melting pot. That's where people from all types of backgrounds come. It's not like one race. It's a mixture of everybody, and that's what kind of makes it different, unique. So, and what happens though is a lot of like these, when these Afghanistanians come, they will start uh, constructing like their own neighborhoods, their own little communities within cities, and I've seen that with all races, um, and it just works. Like, for example, we have a lot of Ecuadorians from here that go to the U.S. They love the U.S. and it's close to, it's close to here, and they can come back. If they're legal, they can come back. If they're illegal, they'll stay in the U.S. A lot of them are illegal, and they stay in the U.S. and they stay there to work, to just make a lot of money, and then at some point they come back to this country and they bring all that money back with them that they made in the United States. But what they do is they set up these, their own neighborhoods. In the big one is in New York. A lot of Ecuadorians, they either go to Florida or they go to New York. Most of them don't go to the West Coast, and maybe it's just because of distance. I don't know, but so a lot of them live like in Queens and in surrounding, Brooklyn, things like that, surrounding areas, maybe even parts of New Jersey up there. And that's because that's where there's a lot of jobs. So, and a lot of them aren't educated, so they have to do more of blue collar type work, like, work in hotels, drive cabs, taxis, or, work construction, help with building, houses, businesses, things like that. and and they're fine with that. And then they open up their own little stores, beauty salons, all these little shops in their local neighborhood, and they all congregate there. So they all feel relatively safe being kind of with their own people in a neighborhood where there's nothing but like Ecuadorians. And I think intermittently you'll find just other groups of people there. But we have people that do that also, like in China, and there will be neighborhoods of Chinese people, neighborhoods of Korean people, and or Indian people.
Chinatown.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, not just like that, but I mean, like in Chinatown, of course there is, but you only just even just in regular, where I was living in Virginia, there would be just little areas where there's when you start seeing a lot of like Chinese stores, like markets and things like that, you go, okay, the reason you see that is because they're catering to, a lot of, Chinese people that live here. And that's true. And I think it's great, and then you go to another area where it's nothing but like Mexican stores, and you have that whole neighborhood that are all Mexicans, a lot more of that is on the West Coast. And it just depends how they come in from that country. Most Hispanics, a lot of Mexicans will come in from Mexico and go to California. So that's why California is kind of heavily populated with a lot of legals and illegal Mexicans that cross the border. And when they get to that state, because that's the closest state, either California or Arizona or New Mexico or something like that, they just stay put because they don't really have much money. They can't afford to travel and go to explore other areas. So they just kind of set up shop there. And that's what they do. So I don't know exactly where all the Afghanistans are being, flown into. I don't know if I don't think it's going to be like places like New York and stuff. I would guess places like, Indiana and I don't know, maybe some Midwest states and things like that, or maybe where it's not so heavily populated and they can handle more, people. I'm not sure. But it'll be interesting to see. I just look at it as, if we're able to do it and we can help and they have a better way of living, anything better than what they're, subjected to over there, they'll find their way and they'll blend in, or some of them will scatter and go to other areas and this and that. But I do think that the US, with all its discriminations of not, we have it. I think every country has it, but I just think it's open to everyone, and it's being the melting pot. I just think everyone just kind of starts blending in, and I think they're probably the safest there in that country. So I don't know. That's what I think. And maybe some of them will have a hard time, assimilating because it's totally different. And you think about, how extreme that they were living in Afghanistan, and then they come to the US where everything's just wide open. You can do whatever you want, say whatever you want, go wherever you want, wear whatever you want. I mean, totally night and day extreme.
It reminds me of the Kite Runner. You heard of that before?
Yeah, the book, The Kite Runner. I didn't read that. What was that about?
Well, it's about a boy who was living in Afghanistan in the 70s. Then came the Soviet invasion. So they had to fled to Pakistan.
Yeah.
Wait, and there, do you want the whole story or just a brief summary?
Oh, you can give me a brief summary, but I mean, go ahead. You're doing fine. It's good. It's really important for you to speak. It's good because that's how, I mean, I already know you can read, but speaking and putting your thoughts together and, saying what you want to say, then that's fine. However you want to tell me.
So they fled from Afghanistan to Pakistan, and they flew to America.
Mm-hmm.
But in Afghanistan, there was so the main character has a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot his name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his friend got raped by a bully, and the main character just looked on and did nothing, and he felt horrible for doing it. So and so he was ashamed and desperately wanted he to be found himself to be punished for not doing anything.
Mhm.
But his friend did not do that. Did not do that even. And in the end, his friend left him. Uh, well, it's kind of complicated because
Mhm.
was his friend's father was kind of a servant for the main character's family. So when they were when his the main character fled to America, and then after like 10 to 20 years, in like the early 2000s, he heard from an old relative that his friend's son was taken by the Taliban, and and his father was dead, but killed by the Taliban. So he needs to retrieve that friend's son.
Mhm.
So he went back to Kabul
Mhm.
and met with the Taliban.
Mhm.
But the Taliban fighter was swinging him was actually the bully who raped his friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
They had a fight, and the main character was terribly beaten. However, the friend mm, the his friend's son, using a slingshot with a stone, like like hit I think Ashraf, which is the bully, in the eye, and paralyzed him so they can escape to Pakistan again.
Mhm. Okay.
But
And
and and let me think of his friend's name. Wait a sec. So the main character's name is Amir,
mhm.
who is now an adult, and his friend is Hassan, and Hassan's son is Sorab, I think. So when they are in Pakistan, Amir asks Sorab whether he would like to live with him in the United States. And
Mhm.
he promised that he will take him there, and Sorab was so happy. But then, due to some visa problems, they had to prolong their stay in Pakistan, and Sorab thought he was being that Emir was betraying his promise, so he tried to kill himself, which is kind of tragic. But he survived, and they went back to America to live together.
Oh, okay.
There's still many details like the kite running, which is kite running is a game played in Afghanistan in the 70s, which so a bunch of children with kites try to fight each other out with kites, and the last kite is the winner.
Oh, okay. So the last kite that's up in the air. It's
And
up in the air.
um, and the one that catches the last kite is when it has all the glory.
Okay.
I kind of, but another detail is that when Amir was in America, he met his he married another Afghan, but they didn't have children because of biological issues, so they adopted Sunrab as a son when they were back in America. And Amir tries to make Sunrab happy, but he still wasn't too happy about that promise being broken, sort of thing. And
Hmm.
the last sentence of in the last chapter of the book, they saw in America. They saw a group of Afghans. They're playing kite running,
Oh.
and one of the famous sayings in the book was "For you 1,000 times over."
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, Sonrab and then Muir takes off for the kite that has been cut down by
Hmm.
And Song Rap only has a crooked smile, which is the last scene in the book.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's probably the main idea of this
Yeah,
story.
okay. But I mean, he got out. Yeah,
There's
I
also
mean,
a movie,
uh-huh.
but I believe it's best to read the book since movies aren't so accurate
Yeah,
about.
that's true. I mean, it's the book always is better, in my opinion, than the movie. I mean, it's nice to see it, a movie, but that's same thing as the book, but it's different in your mind. I think your imagination uh, it does better when you're reading a book and you can just think of things, and then when you see it in the movie, it's like, oh, that's not what I was imagining or picturing. Yeah. And they usually sometimes change some details and things like that. Characters are usually about the same, but I like read. If I'm gonna watch a movie I really want to watch, I usually, if there's a book, and usually there is, I'll try to read that first. I never saw the movie either. I didn't read the book. I did see it.
I didn't saw the movie either. I just read the book.
You didn't see the movie either.
I just read the ebook actually.
Just an ebook, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I mean, it's I know it was a popular book. I saw it a while ago, maybe a year or two ago or something like that. But I just it's like I get. Do you have access to free books and stuff? Z, that one site that I gave you, I know those, but like,
Yes.
or okay, okay. Or even like a I don't know if you ever do you subscribe to anything where
No.
you
I don't
don't pay.
subscribe to it.
It's just the free books that you get. Okay. Um, all right, that's good. That's good. What else? I mean, what other books are you reading now? Like you said earlier today, you said you were
Mostly
reading
Chinese
something.
books.
Oh, okay. All right. When you practice Chinese right now, because you still take that in school, correct?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Yeah. Just like how it is. We're it's mandatory for us to take English all through school, every grade. You never even your last year of high school. It's just mandatory. But do you have to when you're taking Chinese, do you practice writing a lot as well? Is that difficult or is that
Uh, once I think like 5 times every term, 5 to 6 times. And and on tests as well. So maybe about like 7, 8 times a term,
okay?
like once or twice a month,
Okay.
maybe.
And how's your writing in Chinese?
Okay, but
Okay.
I've been improving for the past year or so because I've been writing a passage every day in the summer break and the winter break this year.
Okay. All right. That's good. And do you write a lot of English?
No,
Not really. No. Okay. Okay. I'm just wondering if you for like not like on a computer, but like writing with a pencil, pencil pen on paper. Okay. All right. Um. More interesting. Anything else? Anything else that you can think of that you want to discuss? Any other news or I know there's a lot of stuff out there, but that seems like the one that's taking the priority right now. It's the one with Afghanistan.
with the beginning of the school term, there's also beginning of sports seasons like the NFL
Yeah,
and
that's
the
one.
World Cup qualifying up in Asia, round
Oh,
3.
okay, okay. Do you follow that as well?
Yes, and
You kind of
maybe
follow both
I
too?
can't watch NFL games because they're in midnight, but
Sure.
I can watch soccer games, which is like 7 p.m., which is time
Oh,
totally okay.
okay, okay. And that's just something that you like. You like watching those sports.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. And but you get highlights. I mean, you hear about it. You read. I'm sure you read the headlines and stuff like that, and you'll watch some highlights of the like football games.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Um.
There's actually a lot of people in China who likes NFL.
Really? Oh,
Yes, I don't
okay.
know how.
You know, my
But
my
like
mhm.
at least a few hundred thousand or tens of thousands people online. They're following their NFL has official Weibo like Twitter accounts in the sites in China, and they have like 10, like 60, 70,000 followers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't. In my students, you know, who are all from China, my adult students, most of them don't. I mean, they're all engineers, and they're all probably in their maybe their 30s, uh, maybe late 20s, early 30s, but none. And most of them are married and whatnot. But they don't. None of them follow sports. You know, and they're there in the U.S. And they just don't. They don't. Uh, they don't follow sports. I'm saying I don't really know about the women, but I don't I doubt it. But the men that I have as students, they don't follow sports. So yeah, any of them, and yeah, and I haven't really a whole lot since I've been here. It's just
Scratch that.
it's
The
easy to
NFL has 1 million followers
do they.
somehow.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So yeah, I won't. Yeah, it's just like last year. I hear about it from you for the most part. I don't really, like I said, I don't follow it. My sons, of course, follow it, but yeah, I think a lot of it's just because I'm not there, and we don't have like a TV to watch all that stuff. I can get it and I can stream it, on any site, but I don't know. I just got too many other things to do. I just don't follow it. So it's a big deal though in the U.S. If you're in the U.S. and it's a Sunday or Monday, I think it was
Yes.
Monday night. It's
Monday
just
Night Football, Thursday Night Football.
yeah, and it was just everybody talked about it the next day at work, and people on that day are watching it, getting together at different sports bars to watch it, and our friends' houses and big get-togethers with a lot of food and watching the game. It's like our weekly ritual. So, but not so much here. We have local bars, but during COVID and stuff, they were all closed. So now I think they're all open now. I don't know. I don't go out to those places, but um, I see people looking online all the time. Oh, what place is open this week for, so and so's game or whatever. And somebody will respond back. And oh, go to Black Angus. They got the big screen, 75 uh, big screen TV, blah, 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 5 of them, and just stuff like that. And businesses like it because it, not only, just generates a lot of business. So, okay. Anything else?
What sports do you play now?
Well, with just recovering from the hip surgery, the second one, nothing yet. What I will do is when this is completely recovered, I like to get back on the tennis court again. And
Tennis. Do you play
yeah,
with your husband?
yeah,
Or
or other people.
oh,
Yeah, there's just we have real close to where I live. We have a coliseum that has outdoor.
Coliseum.
Yeah, it's called the Jefferson Coliseum, and it has indoor. It's designed for like indoor sports for people. I've gone in there a couple of times, and there's basketball courts and stuff like that for kids to play, and they have martial arts and stuff like that. I think originally it was like designed for like different types of, you know, events, and we don't have a lot going on, so they just kind of converted it to a huge play area for different activities. And on the outside, they've got a lot of tennis courts. So I think there's like 12, something like that. And I've been by there a few times, so I know they maintain them pretty well. So that would be the place to go for tennis. But if I wanted racquetball, which we have a couple, one at the university, and I think at the Coliseum there's a racquetball court there as well. I'll probably hold off on that one for a little bit because that's a little bit more fast moving. A lot of um, I want to take care on that hip first. I'll do tennis if I can first, and then cycle. I do a lot of bike riding, a lot of
Like,
cycling. And we've got clubs here where, I mean, there's a huge expat population here in Cuenca where I am. And it just takes a phone call or a text message. Okay, where's everybody? People are meeting. And right now, the city is really, I was talking to my husband about this the other day, because I keep up with the Cuenca news, what's going on here. Two things, and this is going to be really cool. Cuenca, or Ecuador, out of all of South America, is looking to offer the first digital nomad visa, meaning, and that's what I kind of consider myself that now. I don't, because I'm not. We travel, we travel everywhere, and we can work from anywhere as long as we have internet, right? Because we can work online. So that new concept is called a digital nomad, because you can, you're working online and you travel and you go anywhere. Well, there's not many countries that offer that type of visa to allow you to work in other countries, and and on that type, and legally, legally, not illegal, but legally. And our president, the new one, is looking at implementing this in Ecuador, and if he does, that's going to attract so many people here, because there's a lot of people, especially in this past year and a half, because of COVID, that are forced to work indoors and online, and that's kind of, in my opinion, become a way of life now, where a lot of people are used to it. And when you look at your big companies still, like with Facebook and Amazon and Google, everybody's still working from home. They pushed that date back now to, I think, January of coming back to the office. And I'm not even convinced that that's a really viable date. I mean, I think it's going to still be pushed back, because these big major companies, for the most part, yes, they are in other countries, but they originated in the US, and they're all there. Most of them are in California, Seattle. And that's really bad right now as far as COVID and Delta. So I don't even think that even January is the date they're going to go back. So my point being is, everybody's still used to working from home, and a lot of these companies have realized, wow, we can still do this. I mean, it's going to be much cheaper if we just allow people to work from home instead of supplying an office and food and all this other kind of stuff. People are saving time with no commutes and blah blah blah. So as a result, people have recognized that, well, that I can live anywhere. If I'm working online, all I need is an internet connection, and I'm good to go. So that, I think, is kind of picked up the whole digital nomad concept, and people are willing to go to other places, and it kind of gives them an excuse even to go to other places to see and visit and work and get paid. So so that's one thing. So that's the digital nomad visa coming here, and that'll be much more affordable for most people, because I didn't come over on that kind of visa. And the second thing for Cuenca, I'm not sure about whole Ecuador, but at least Cuenca, they're looking at, if you have a valid driver's license from any state in the United States, they're looking at waiving the Ecuadorian license. You don't need to go and get a driver's license in Ecuador if you want to drive in Ecuador. So, which I have, not that I'm going to. In fact, I really could care less. But let me ask you this question, and I thought of this right away. If that were to happen, Z, and I want you to use logic here, if they allowed all these expats, and we have about 15,000, maybe more, expats that live in Cuenca here, just in this one city. And if they allowed that, what do you think is going to happen as a result? Because all these expats that come from the US, we all have driver's license because we all drove there, in whatever state we came from.
Maybe they'll drove to other places, and settle there.
Well, that could be, but what industry is gonna benefit?
Taxi, I think.
You think a taxi's going to be a taxi?
or driving trucks?
No. Well, this is what I think. I think the automobile industry is going to benefit
Automobile.
because you're going to have all these expats. Oh, I don't have to speak Spanish and I don't have to go to and get a driver's license in order to have a car here. We got the money. I'll just buy a car. And now we
Oh,
can drive. So, I
oh, now I
mean,
get it.
it's totally so smart. And what
I
really,
thought they were. I thought they were doing the business.
no. I'm saying they would, because we can't, no longer. It happened, I think, 4 years ago. But if you were from the United States and you were getting your permanent visa, to live here, you could, and bringing your furniture and stuff like that over on a container. The Ecuadorian law allowed you to bring one vehicle over with you in a container, provided the vehicle was relatively new. It couldn't be an old car. It had to be like 1 to 2 or 3 years old, something like that. So some people brought actually cars over in a container, but they stopped that about 4 years ago. So what did that mean? Well, when people came over with their furniture and all that, they still had no vehicle, which you don't need here. You don't have to have a vehicle because we have, our transportation system is good enough and cheap enough to where you don't have to maintain a car and insurance and gasoline and maintenance and all that. So a lot of expats just didn't do it. But if they had a choice and they could drive, I think most of them would buy cars, just what they're used, like how they were used to in the United States. And most people live in nice apartments where there's underground parking, so parking's never an issue to park your car. And the other ones that live in houses, well, once again, they have plenty of space to park their cars at houses. So I just think if they, that was just another way to generate income for our city in Cuenca here. Because I know most of these expats will buy cars. Cars here are about 30% more expensive than they are in the United States. So if you, let's, for example, a Honda Civic, Honda Accord, whatever, in the United States for like a new one or a relatively new one might be around, 20,000 or something like that, 25,000. But here it'll be like 40,000. So, and they don't care. I mean, they'll buy it. So I just think that industry is going to really spike up here, but it's also it's going to increase population though too. And that, with increased populations in areas, it just, things become sometimes a little bit more difficult. Prices will start rising because there's more people to cater to, and businesses are going to make more money. That's how you grow. So that's the second thing. And then the last thing that they did here was, because of this whole pandemic and stuff, and how delivery systems here really increased because nobody was going out and businesses were closed. But to prevent businesses from closing permanently, the ones like the restaurants and type specialty stores, they stayed open because they offered delivery. Well, if you're going to offer delivery, you either need a car or a motorcycle or an electric bike. And that's what's really taken off here in the past year, are all of the motorcycles and electric bikes. And we just got, from what I understand, we have them right now or they're coming real soon, 7 charging stations for electric vehicles. Which, I mean, to me, that's quite impressive. This little city is really growing at a rapid pace. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. So
it's the third largest city in Ecuador, so
yeah,
maybe it's not that little.
yeah, we used to have, right now I think the population is still under a million. It's like 750,000, something like that. But it used to be, when I came here 6.5 years ago, we had barely 500,000. So, we increased it, 250,000 in the last 5 years. And I just think it's going to grow, much more with all this other stuff that they're doing. So, but it's still a nice town. Anything under a million, I think, is okay. Anything you get over that, it's just for me now. It's too big. I don't like it. Too many people. But yeah, so it's good stuff. Good things are happening here, and I think there could be some, maybe some Afghanistanians that are coming here. Not, I don't think many. Um, so we'll see. We have a lot of Venezuelans that are here that came from
Venezuela.
Venezuela as a result of their government collapsing. But a lot of them are finding it now. They've been here a couple of years, or a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Now a lot of them, because they're finding a hard time to get jobs and things like that. I think a lot of them are looking to go to different countries, maybe even trying to go to more in Colombia, maybe some in Peru, but you know, because they're having a hard time finding work here. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else, of anything new development, but that's all that's coming down the pike here. So it's moving. I see a lot of a lot of differences since I first came, but we're trying to get to as soon as the hip heals, I'll give it another couple of months, because the right side's doing fantastic, and this one, it's only been 3 weeks since I had the left hip replaced, and I go to physical therapy 3 times a week, and I exercise here on my own. But I'm walking out without any assistance, no crutch, no canes or anything like that. But it's just still kind of sore. It's not healed yet. Um, so we're looking at, hopefully by the end of the year, depending on the situation in Europe and what's going on there, we'd like to get back to Spain. So we'll probably move there. We like the northern Spain. We like the Galicia, and so we'll see what happens. Just a change.
Mm.
Any other questions?
Mm.
Who's that? Sport
No,
team. Mhm. No.
no.
Okay. All right. We got a few minutes. Want to try to finish it one page or two?
Okay.
All right. Start up on top there where it says, I think we left off where it says Thornton went on whittling.
Thornton went on whittling. It was idle, he knew, to get between a fool and his folly, while 2 or 3 fools more or less would not alter the scheme of things. But the team did not get up at the command. It had long since passed into the stage where blows were required to rouse it. The whip flashed out here and there on its merciless errands. John Thornton compressed his lips. Lex was the first to crawl to his feet. Teague followed. Joe came next, yelping with pain. Pike made painful efforts. Twice he fell over, went half up, and on the third attempt managed to rise. Buck made no effort. He lay quietly where he had fallen. The lash bit into him again and again, but he neither whined nor struggled. Several times Thornton started, as though to speak, but changed his mind. A moisture came into his eyes, and as the whipping continued, he arose and walked irresolutely up and down. This was the first time Buck had failed, in itself a sufficient reason to drive Hal into a rage. He exchanged the whip for the customary club. Buck refused to move under the rain of heavier blows which now fell upon him. Like his mates, he was barely able to get up, but, unlike them, he had made up his mind not to get up. He had a vague feeling of impending doom. This had been strong upon him when he pulled into the bank, and it had not departed from him. What of the thin and rotten ice he had felt under his feet all day? It seemed that he sensed disaster close at hand. Out there ahead on the ice where his master was trying to drive him. He refused to stir, so greatly that he suffered, and so far gone as was he, that the blows did not hurt much. And as they continued to fall upon him, the spark of life within flickered and went down. It was nearly out. He felt strangely numb, as though from a great distance. He was aware that he was being beaten. The last sensations of pain left him. He no longer felt anything, though very faintly he could hear the impact of the club upon his body. But it was no longer his body. It seemed so far away. And then suddenly, without warning, uttering a cry that was inarticulate and more like the cry of an animal, John Thornton sprang upon the man who wielded the club. Hal was hurled backward, as though struck by a falling tree. Mercedes screamed. Charles looked on wistfully, wiped his watery eyes, but did not get up because of his stiffness. John Thornton stood over Buck, struggling to control himself. Too convulsed with rage to speak, wiping the front of his mouth as he came back. "Get out of my way, or I'll fix you. I'm going to Dawson." Thornton stood between him and Buck, and evinced no intention of getting out of the way. Hal drew his long hunting knife. Mercedes screamed, cried lament of hysteria. Thornton rapped Hal's knuckles with the axe handle, knocking the knife to the ground. He rapped his knuckles again as he tried to pick it up. Then he stooped, picked it up himself, and with 2 strokes cut Buck's traces. While Buck was too near dead to be of further use in hauling the sled. Buck heard them go and raised his head to see. Pike was leading, so Legs was at the wheel, and between were Joe and Teague. They were limping and staggering. Mercedes was riding the load instead. Hal guided the gee-pole, and Charles stumbling along in the rear. As Buck watched them, Thornton knelt beside him and with rough, kindly hands searched for broken bones. By the time his search had disclosed nothing more than many bruises and a state of terrible starvation, his sled was a quarter of a mile away. Dog and man watched it crawling along over the ice. Suddenly, they saw its back end drop down and into a rut, and the gee-pole, with Hal clinging to it, jerked into the air. Mercedes' scream came to their ears. They saw Charles turn and make one step to run back, and then a whole section of ice gave way, and the dogs and humans disappeared. A yawning hole was all that was to be seen. The bottom had dropped out of the trail. John Thornton and Buck looked at each other. "You poor devil," said John Thornton, and Buck licked his hand.
Okay, we'll stop here just because of time. Any last minute questions, Z, before you go?
I feel bad for the dogs.
Oh, I know, isn't that the poor things?
Especially the ones that kept going.
Yeah.
They all drowned. They didn't deserve that.
No.
The owners might.
Exactly. I'm all for animals, and I hate. I mean, it's just I hate with a passion people that abuse and mistreat animals. It's just it breaks my heart, but it's just that there's no excuse for that. And I always feel, I know it's not right to think that way, but that should happen to the person that does it. If they're beaten, that person should be beaten. If you drown a dog, you should be drowned. I just have no sympathy. I know accidents happen, but malicious, cruelty, that's just no excuse for that. Yeah. Hey, anyway, I got Daniel coming. So, hey, Z, have a fantastic weekend and have fun on your first day. And I look forward to hearing all about it next week. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good job today. Your
Thank
discussion.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it. Okay. Bye.
Keep healing.
I will. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
See you
Z.
next week.
You bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.